Hey guys, welcome to Z's Bees. It is Memorial Day, so we're gonna be doing a hive inspection. You'll see here that I already have some honey supers on, and I put a queen excluder on because I already had drawn comb for all of my honey supers. I peeked at them the other day. It didn't look like they were storing anything, so we're gonna just take a look and see how they're doing. Last year, if you remember, the hive that I had swarmed around this time of year. I'm just gonna give this a couple billows so it doesn't go out. So we're gonna get into the hives today. What we wanna see is one, how are our queens doing? What does the drone production look like, just out of curiosity? Do we have any queen cells? Does it look like they're getting prepared? And then I'm probably gonna remove the queen excluders if it looks like the bees aren't freely moving up and down. So with that said, let's get right into it. So Molly, if you wanna come, this looks really good actually, better than what it looked like the other day. Come on just over to the side over here. See the nice spider up there. He's got a home. So you see here, they may be having, just in the last nice day here, they might have moved up into the honey super. What I'll do is I'll just kind of smoke them down as we go. So I'll use my hive tool. We'll pop this off. This is a ventilated hive cover. It helps with allowing the bees to dry out their honey and, just as it states, ventilate the hive. So we're going to take a look here. Let's see what they're doing up in these. These are all honey. These are ones that were drawn out, and I already see a bee with its face in. So let's just take a look, and I see nectar being brought up in there. Can you catch that on the video at all? There's nectar that's being put in here, which is exactly what we want. Molly, if you can come right up over the top, if you look right down in there, see all their faces in there? They are storing nectar where they're supposed to, which means that they're moving through the queen excluder and they're storing appropriately. So I'm gonna just kind of do this real quick. I'm gonna take this honey super off. We're gonna turn it. We're just gonna set this down here for now. We're gonna give it a little bit of smoke. You can see where they drew out a little bit of comb on the queen excluder. That's perfectly okay. When I was doing a hive inspection earlier today for one of my friends, I did find a small hive beetle. It was in the pollen patty, which you see I have a remnant here of the pollen patty. I need to get this off. I have a couple bees around my face that are really not too happy with me right now. So we'll just give them a little bit of smoke. They're very, very calm. I'm gonna remove the rest of this pollen patty. Over here's what I'm talking about. On his, there's a whole bunch of larvae and everything for the small hive beetle. So they don't need that this time of year. It's really dried out. So let's take a look and see. I'm just gonna kind of smoke around here. Molly, if you look at me, you see what the bees are doing to me with my face. They're right around it. They're not stinging me, but I'm just gonna smoke a little bit here. I put some applewood pellets in my smoker today, so I actually can smell that. Let's see what we're doing in here. So this is the top box. Again, I had brought drawn comb into them. We're gonna hook on my frame holder, which is a really nice thing that I don't know why I didn't have it sooner. Let's see what we look like here. So you see the shiny, that is nectar, and all of the capped stuff, this is all honey. So this is already capped over. This is an outermost frame. That's exactly what I want to see on that. So far, so good. Now what I want to see is if they're honey bound. So as I work closer, I want to see brood. Right here, I would expect to see a little bit more honey based on the weight. This is all honey. You see all their faces are in there. You see all the nectar. And what do we see here? Why don't you guys get close? What do you guys see on this frame that's a little bit different? We see an emergency cell, or essentially a queen cell. Now, that could be a swarm cell, the start of it, or it could just be that, an emergency cell that they prepare just in case they're getting ready to swarm. These are very calm today. Let's see what we're looking at here. This is a frame of pollen. Look at that nice, beautiful pollen in there, all the different colors. There's some weight to it, so they're definitely, oh, look at all the different colors of pollen. You get a nice close-up of that. The queen would likely not be up here. But again, you always want to just kind of take a quick look and double check. Now, this is where I really want to start to look and see. And watch for the queen. So now my goal for these next few frames is to see some brood. You can tell just by the weight if they're storing nectar. I see that they've attached a little bit down below. So down here you'll see where essentially I opened up a few cells. That was where it was connected below. That's drone comb. I see some brood. If you get close in here, there's not only brood, but there's larvae in there. So now I want to keep an eye out for the queen. We'll flip it over. I don't see the queen there. You see this patch right over here. They're storing pollen here, but up here, that's all 3 or 4 day old larvae. So I'm going to put this one back in. And this frame looks excellent to me. This is exactly what I want to see. These guys are not honey bound. That is a beautiful frame of brood. I'm keeping an eye out for my queen. Same thing on this side. I'm looking for my queen. I don't see her, but she has made her way up to the top. There's nectar that's coming in. Let's pull this back just a little bit. We'll take a look at a couple more here. I'd like to see the queen. I don't see her on here. You see that nice beautiful circular pattern? I don't see her up here. And then the next frame over here is a whole bunch of drone comb. So let me show you what I'm talking about on this. What do we notice different about this frame down here? Well, one, you have a whole bunch of nectar, but this is what I'm talking about with the bumpy. This is regular brood, and then these bumpy ones, those are drone brood. That's drone brood. So that's a healthy thing. There's just regular, looking for the queen. They're surrounding it with nectar, which they're going to turn into honey. This is pretty much an ideal setup right now. The biggest thing that I need to do is just make sure that they have enough room. I'm not going to even go into the bottom box here. I'm going to close this one up because I saw exactly what I wanted to see. It's starting to get a little bit antsy on me. And I'm just basing that off of the sound. You want to get real close to them, Molly? Like right over top. Right over top. You can kind of hear a little bit of a roar. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to button them up, pinch them in tight, so I have equal spacing. They don't do anything funny with their comb building. I'm going to take, and now they really started to roar here. And I think I have this on this way. It really doesn't matter. So again, that's the queen excluder. The way that the queen excluder works is that it's the little slots on there are wide enough for worker bees to go through, but it's too narrow for a queen to fit through. So essentially, we don't want her to go up into there and start laying brood or any sort of things up there. We don't want the bees to store a whole lot of pollen up there, which if there's not brood, they probably won't move the pollen. So that's what that's for. The only time that they're going to go through the queen excluder is if you have drawn comb up there. Some people have had success of them drawing out comb with the excluder, but kind of by the rule of thumb is that if you have undrawn comb, you don't use a queen excluder. Let them draw it out. And so now when I put my next box on there, I'll start to put some undrawn frames in there with some drawn comb so that they'll move up there and then start to draw it out. So this hive looks absolutely excellent. I did see a couple little cups in there. I didn't go in the bottom. I'll take a look at that soon, but just based on what I saw from the top, it's looking really, really nice. So let's move on to the next one. Okay. All right, let's get into the second hive. This is always a fun part. And you see here, there's not as many bees up on top, but they are. So we'll take a look and see what they look like down below. A couple of bees were just kind of sitting there. This is the hive that the bees are a little bit more flighty, so we'll see what their temperament is like. And when I say flighty, it just means that instead of crawling down, they tend to fly out a little bit more. And as I'm looking to see here, there's some bees up here, but let's just take a frame out and take a look. And I don't see anything in here. So right now, they're not storing anything that I can see. So far, there's no nectar up here, which is okay. Let's see what we look like down below. See what our population looks like. So what I usually do here, if you're working with bees, the biggest thing is where do you set stuff? So I like to flip my cover over, and then I'll just set the boxes perpendicular on there. So I kind of get things ready. I've already smoked that box. Because the excluder's on there, I'll give it a twist to the side. I'll lift that off. I'll set this one on here perpendicular so I don't squish bees. I'm just taking a look here. The population inside looks really good. Give them a little bit of smoke. We'll take the queen excluder off. Set this aside for now. And let's take a look at what we're working with. Little remnants of the pollen patty that can go away. I don't see any signs of small hive beetles running around anywhere. Like I said, the first one that I saw was over at the hive that I'm helping a friend with in the Amro area. We only saw one, we killed it, but small hive beetles can really be a pest, mainly in the south. Okay, they're storing nectar. A lot of bees on here. Taking a look, you see their faces in there. They're capping some of it over. Beautiful golden honey, or nectar I should say. I'm gonna put my frame holder on my hive. These bees are absolutely calm. The next frame that's in here is an undrawn frame that I put in, and I can see they're beautifully drawing it out. So you see that nice fresh white comb, and you can see where they moved some of the wax. I don't see the queen on there, but she clearly has plenty of room. They're not even really storing nectar in here yet. That's perfectly okay. They don't really have a roar or a hum at all. It's usually a sign that the queen is good in here. And I see a frame of brood in here coming up that looks absolutely amazing. See the beautiful nectar, get a nice close-up on the colors on that. Down below, do you remember what the bumpy brood is called? That's drone brood. So we'll move this one, this little hive holder. Wait till you guys see this frame. This could be in a magazine. This queen is doing her job. Take a look at that. I doubt we'll see her on there. You see a little bit of the drone comb over to the left-hand side. Look at that. This hive is about to explode. We're gonna slide this one over. So if I was gonna do a split, this would be a great hive to pull from because they have several frames of this really nice, excellent patterned brood. What I want is a huge population, and I see those are not queen cells down there. You see how nice and calm they are? Look at that, that's unreal. So she has made her way up. She is doing what we want her to do. Let's see what we look like as we go over. So she laid all that. That's some pretty white or yellowish brood, so it's a little bit newer. Let's see if we can find some darker stuff. So we'll see if we see her on this one. Start of a little queen cell over here. Just gonna push that down. I see a couple other little sections where they've drawn out here and here. see what they look like here. The queen may be on this one. I don't see any eggs or larvae, but it's all drawn out. I'm gonna give a little bit of smoke. I'm sure you can hear that bee on your video. Kudos to Molly, who's filming, who's staying incredibly calm. She's got her bee jacket on. This is all nectar and pollen. This is all nectar and pollen. And they're drawing out over there. So let's button this one back up. I'm feeling pretty confident with this hive here that they're, well, just, you see there, I just kind of brushed them off. They went right back down. So they're kind of telling me, hey, we've had enough. You want to kind of come over the top, see the difference in the sound. Come about this close right here. You can kind of hear the difference in their pitch. Just means that they're ready for me to be done. So I'm going to leave the excluder on there because they have plenty of room. There was some bees up here. Put this back on. Square it up by going opposite corner to opposite corner. Get this all set out and prepared. Let's take a look, get nice and close. It's always fun to see. So again, these two are about the same with, you know, just a scattering of bees. You know, they're not doing a ton right up here right now. So the nectar flow isn't full on yet. I'll give them a little bit of smoke. This here is propolis. Bees make propolis to seal up their hive. They get that from tree saps and resins. It's also part of the reason I wear gloves, because this stuff, it gets on your fingers and it's extremely sticky. So a lot of times I wear the gloves just, well, one, so I don't get stung, but two, just to keep that off of my fingers. So let's just see. I have a feeling we're going to see exactly what we saw in the middle hive. And so far, again, this was previously drawn out last year. No nectar in there. That's okay. My medium super. And that probably irritated the bees. Get them to go down. Same thing. Remove a little bit of the pollen patty that's there. I don't see any small hive beetle larvae or anything like that. A lot of times they like to make their home in the pollen that's there. So this population here, I can see already, if you come over the top, there's bees here, but I would say they're a little bit behind, but let's take a look. So I'm gonna grab my frame holder. Molly, you can come right nice and close to get everyone a view of kind of what it looks like. So, nothing on this one. If you hold a frame like this, a lot of times you can see if they're drawing it out. The outermost frames, a lot of times they won't draw that one out. Sometimes they never will for the whole season. The next frame, I see some bees are on. And just to see the difference, if I hold it just right, you can see where they started to draw it out, right in this region right here. So again, they had two outermost frames. But now the next one is looking really nice. And these sets of bees, this hive is probably the most calm hive that I have. This one looks like a bunch of new bees. They're really, okay, the phone that we were using just died, so we're using Molly's phone. I want you all to take a real nice close look at this frame, which I've already peeked at, and let me know if you see anything. And I'm looking right now, I don't. Let's look at this side once. Go ahead and go down in this area here. What do you guys see? I see the queen right here. There she is. They don't really like the daylight a whole lot, so she's going around. So now the biggest thing is she's on that side. I'm gonna keep these two frames together. I'm not gonna pull this other one out. I'm gonna go over one more, and that's just for me, just to make sure that I don't injure her at all. But it's funny because the bees in here, I made the comment that they look kind of orange. Well, if you saw that queen, go back and take a look at how orange she was. But this frame is really, really glued down. Sorry to step in front. I have a feeling that there's going to be some drone brood, and we are right. Okay, so down here, when you put in frames like this that all they have is worker bee cells, they have to create their own area for drones, and so they end up always doing it down below. They do make frames with the drone brood the same size, or the brood that has the size for drones that you can put in. There's some other uses as well for varroa treatment. But this is a perfect example of that circular pattern. You have brood, you have bee bread, which is your pollen, and then it's going to be honey and nectar on the outside. This is a really good example. This is an excellent looking hive. The queen looked nice and healthy, and her bees are really orange. They've really taken on that trait, and they're super calm. So let's go over one more frame. I'm sure those of you that know me well know that I'm very, very excited because this is looking excellent. It's always just how calm these bees are here. Again, this is all drones. They're getting ready for the swarm season, but mixed in is also all the other brood that's there. If you think of this whole box as one unit, that brood chamber is just the big circles. They surround it over here. If you see there, that's all nectar. If I hold it in here, I'm sure a bee will probably almost immediately start feeding on it. That's all nectar around there. So they pull the honey, mix it with the pollen, feed it to their brood. All right, I'm a sweaty mess, but it's a beautiful, beautiful day out here. The bees are out working. I was watching them before as they were just taking off. All of the trees are really coming into pollen, coming into bloom, producing nectar. This is my strongest hive, but I also saw a little queen cup over here, but they're already starting to transfer nectar into the medium super. Once the nectar flow starts, I need to watch it. They can fill a box up like this that's already drawn out in a hurry. I'm talking in a matter of day or two. This hive here looks good. Again, they didn't necessarily make the way up. I kept the queen excluder on. I think it's going to be okay. The queen had enough room to lay in there. And then kind of the same thing over here. We found the queen over here. She looked great. This is by far my most calm hive. But you see here, I don't think Molly got stung. Did you get stung?
No.
She had one that was kind of bumping around her hands and whatnot. This time of year, bees are really calm. There's an ample nectar source out there. They really don't care so much. Come fall, when they're protecting their hives, that's really when they get a little bit more aggressive. Things are looking really good. Pollen's there, nectar is there. All medications are pulled off because I have honey supers on. I don't treat anything once the honey supers are on, because that's honey that is going to get consumed. So this will stay this way, and it'll just be from here on out adding honey supers as they fill them up. I'm hoping that we don't swarm. I think they have a lot of room here. I was able to provide drawn comb, so there's not that delay of the bees having to draw out the comb, which then congests them, and then makes them want to swarm. They have a lot of room in here. They're drawing out some. They're storing nectar up above. And if we can get to the nectar flow, a lot of times that kind of turns off that want to swarm. So things are looking really cool. I shouldn't even say it, but my goal for this year is between 200 and 300 pounds of honey from these 3 hives. So that's what the goal is. We'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching Z's Bees. The Facebook group Z's Bees has also grown. If you're part of that, you probably got an invite from me. I think I invited everyone the other night. There are close to 400 members of that. The channel, if you get a chance, go onto the YouTube channel, give that a subscribe on there, and we'll go from there. Thanks.